Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to YDN Radio Brighton. And we have Grania Pickard with us. And she is the artistic director of Oddly Moving, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Yeah,
My
you
title.
are. For a few years now, you are the artistic director of Oddly Moving. And you guys have put a show together called Atlas, which is coming to Worthing and will be at the Connaught, isn't it? Connaught Theatre, Friday the 13th. What
Yes,
time is it on? Is it 7 p.m., 8 p.m.?
7:30.
Had to be in the middle of that, didn't it? 7:30 p.m. at the Connaught Theatre, Friday the 13th. Tell us about the show, because I read up on the show. This is movement, this is circus, this is inhibiting a story of Atlas and giving us an understanding to kind of like put it onto our view of today, isn't it?
Yeah,
How do you do that?
oh wow. So I'll try and that was such a tidy summary. I'll try and
Oh,
expand but not talk for 4 hours.
fair enough. You go.
So Atlas is a retelling of the Greek myth of Atlas, who, for people that don't know, usually if you were to Google him, you'll see a statue of a really ripped, mainly naked man, holding a big thing on his head, which is usually a massive sphere. And the Greeks thought that was the universe. So we're telling the story using storytelling, and I'm the storyteller in the show. And we tell the whole story of Atlas and how he gets to be punished. And then at some point in his eternity of holding everything, he gets a break because the classic bad boy Heracles comes along and needs a favor. So that's the story that we're telling. But also, so I'm the storyteller, and then Ariel is Atlas, and she's an acrobat, and she does crazy mad stuff, which is incredible. It's like superhuman. I'm like, I don't know how you do that. And then Helena, the juggler, also does incredible juggling feats, and she does foot juggling, which is a slightly more unusual way of juggling than most people do. And she is a classic bad boy Heracles. So we play out the whole show with them enacting the parts, but then
Wow.
also there's bits of my autobiography that start to seep through. So I don't want to give loads away, but it starts off being just about the myth, but then my story comes through, and it's a bit like my story takes over the myth. And it's about the stuff that I carry, so that hopefully the audience can relate to what I'm saying and think about the stuff that they're carrying. So if they were Atlas, what is it that we all have stuff? So it's an opportunity of thinking about what we're all carrying. But then by the end, hopefully, everyone can feel like they can let that go, and we can leave the theatre feeling a bit lighter and smiling, and I hope entertained.
Wow. Now, that wasn't 100% clear in the article I read about it, so I am absolutely intrigued. How did this idea come about?
So I read a book by Jeanette Winterson. She did a retelling of Atlas. I don't know when it was published, but years and years and years ago. And I was really taken by the myth, and I really, really related to this idea of us holding our own universe of stuff. And then 5 years ago, I sold the idea to my producers, Turtle Key Arts, and they agreed to take it on. And since then, we've just been playing around with different ideas and different performers. We did some research with lots of different people and different skills. And weirdly, with the pandemic and those 2 years of unexpected time, it meant that me and the director, Charlotte Mooney, actually had loads of time to really, really get into storyboarding and expanding ideas. And we got into a level of detail that actually is a big luxury that we don't usually have. So that, and then we were able to make it this year. So it's been quite a journey. It's been 5 years in making it. And I think I read that book 6, 7 years ago.
Wow. I'm flabbergasted by your story. I really, really am. And it's so exciting to hear. And when you went into those details of how to tell the story, I mean, from when you started the idea till then, did you know that you end up with an acrobat? and the juggler. Is that, I mean, was that your first idea initially, or did it just evolve into that?
Well, it did. It's an interesting question. So in the research section, we worked with someone who does slack rope and acrobatics. And originally we had quite a strong idea that she would be in the show, but life changed and then that was no longer possible. And she moved to Sweden, so our budget doesn't really cover that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And
Especially
so we
now with
thought,
all the extra visas.
yeah, exactly. So yes, but then also we thought we had lots of images that we could see about being strong and holding stuff. So we worked with someone who's an acrobatic base, who like is the person at the bottom. If someone's standing on the shoulders, they're the person who they're standing on. So and we also worked with a juggler and someone who is a physical theatre performer who can do acrobatics and can do juggling. And none of those people are actually in the show, but their contribution was really valuable because we got to have a play with all those different skills. But at that time, we didn't know we were casting for Atlas and Heracles. We had more of an idea that everybody's story would be in the show. But then when we met Helena and Ariel, it was just so clear that they were Atlas and Heracles. It was incredible. The casting is such a gift because we're in the audition and it was like, oh, that's clearly them and this is clearly who they are. And then that final jigsaw puzzle kind of fitted in. But also they're both really talented. So they both do acting and physical theatre. And there's bits where I climb all over Ariel and she kind of throws me around a bit. So we've managed to incorporate lots of different things.
I hope you wear a helmet.
I don't. And there's no crash mats.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to sit there in fear. That's what's going to happen. You're just going to come out without, you say I'm going, we're going to come out a bit lighter. Is that because our hearts are just going to drop? Because we're going to be sitting there in fear that you're going to get dropped yourself. I don't know.
Oh no, I promise it will be fine. I think everyone's hearts will be in their chest whilst they both do their skills in that way of watching fireworks where you can't believe it. But I think the bit where I'm climbing over Ariel, you'll be so immersed in the story. And we're doing like kind of a fight scene. So it's really fun. And at no point do I go, don't stand on her shoulders. I don't do anything that's going to make you scared. But hopefully people will watch it and be like, oh, that looks like fun. Wow. I've had a great time.
You're having a great time. That's fantastic. So that's how that physical theatre type of storytelling came about for this story. Did you always want to incorporate your own personal story into this image? Or did that evolve as well?
It's a good question. So the last show that Oddly Moving made was entirely my autobiography about my brother with learning disabilities. And that was called He Ain't Heavy, which did also come to Worthing and we did some workshops. So this time it was like a progression of the work that Oddly Moving does, that we still use theatre and circus and autobiography. But I was really keen to open it up a bit more so it was other people's stories. But as we were nitpicking our way through ideas and the dramaturgy and like the detail of what we were making, it became clear that it theatrically made more sense for it to be a story from me that holds it together rather than lots of different ones. So, and I've been very cautious this time. Last time I basically opened up my chest and took my heart out and put it on the stage and was like, there you go, have a look at that.
Which is a really brave thing to do.
Yeah, it did feel quite brave. And so this time I'm actually being a bit more cautious about what I say or what I share and how I share it. And that comes across, I think, because it's almost like we've replayed that in the theatre, that the story kind of comes through, but it's like there's resistance, which I think it might be the resistance coming from me about how much. But then it's almost like it gets its own momentum and it comes spilling out.
Wow, that's fascinating how and I guess because the show that you've done before this, you've already kind of exposed yourself. So when you say holding back, it's probably more of an editorial for you for this to fit into the Atlas story.
Exactly. Yeah, and because I think my autobiography, I think pretty much everybody has something that fits with the Atlas story.
Yeah, of
So I
course.
think
We have
we've all
something
got,
on our shoulders, haven't we?
yeah, exactly. So this time it was about picking the story that suits it right. And I feel like it's authentic. It's still true to me.
Yeah.
But I can go on stage every day and I can say it, and in a really lovely, healthy way, I can then leave the theatre and leave the story with the show.
Yeah.
So so yeah, but that was part of the editing process. But there's
Wow.
something super exciting we're doing, which we've never done before,
Oh, go on to tell.
which we've got a new idea called shareyourstory.org.uk. And that's where people can go and they can record their own stories.
Okay, then we're going to have to share that. So it's shareyourstory.org.uk.
Mm-hmm. And there's a series of prompts where people can listen to me explain. So it's a bit like if you just wanted to do it for like a 7-minute writing exercise or creative exercise, there's a series of questions that you answer and then 5 minutes just to jot stuff down, and then the option to share it or not share it. So we're trying to make it about other people.
And so when you say trying to make about other, does that mean that in some shows you'll integrate some of other people's stories into the Atlas story later on, or is this for
So
another project? Or
it becomes part of our program. So then when you come to the show, you get a postcard with a QR code on it, and that takes you to the website. So then you can listen to other people's stories. And then people who come to workshops, we're running workshops to generate stories. So people can come to a workshop, create their own story, have that as part of the website, and then come and see the show. So it feels like it's building a community.
I was literally just thinking and about to say what you're creating further than just the performances and stories that you've done till now is a whole creative community of people, giving them a voice, giving them a place to share a little story of their own. And even I assume people could also be anonymous if they wanted to. Yeah.
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 Oh yeah. So it hasn't got names on there, are titles. So you can name oh no, we nearly gave away the identity of someone. So like there's one story where the title is the title is Moon Baby, but unless you know that person and the name of their child, that might not make sense, but for them it makes perfect sense.
Sure. Yeah. And also it doesn't matter, does it? Because you're reading a story and that story would mean something to you and then different to somebody else anyway. So there's not necessarily a need to see the face and know the person, especially in that kind of project. A lot of people, I guess, from the community, from the everyday life, that are not people like yourselves that are on stage and want to create and show these stories and perform them. They're happy to share, but they just want to stay in the background, isn't it?
Yeah, and I want that to be Oddly Moving's focus. Really, is that it's about telling stories they're like the special everyday things. So it's all looking through the angle of it's like not on the outskirts of normality. It's very normal, but all those little stories that you don't hear. So making sure there's a space for people to share theirs, because we've all got them. And yeah, I think that feels really like a beautiful thing about doing the show.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the show sounds absolutely amazing, and this extra project that you've just shared with us is just extra appealing because you are really giving people a gateway to open their hearts in a safe way as well. The fact that they can be anonymous and just go, okay, well, this is mine, and there you go, put that out to the world. And you're right, everyone has a story, and everything is interesting. And it's
Yeah,
great.
and
And it's great that you're encouraging that.
yeah, I'm obsessed with podcasts, especially about people's lives. So this is a bit like me being like, oh, I'd like to know more about people's lives, so I'll just ask them to tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I absolutely love the fact that you've come to us to tell us about your show, and it's not just about that there's a show on. There's so much more to what you're doing, and I'm so grateful that you came on and shared that with us, and we will promote that on YDN. This interview will go out, people will listen, and we'll give all the details for them to come and see your show if they're in the area of Worthing. And if they're not in the area of Worthing, where else are you performing?
So our next other dates are, we're at Arts Depot in North Finchley on the 19th of May.
She's looking at her paper.
I'm
You
checking
don't
my
know it by
notes.
heart. No, you
No.
don't, do you? I know the feeling. Anyway, so 19th of
May.
May, that's it.
And,
Nearly said
and
March for
then,
some reason. But yes, 19th of May in North Finchley.
yeah, and then we're in at Proteus and Basingstoke on the 3rd of June.
Fantastic. And is that your run for the year, or do you think you'll have more shows after June?
So they're all our guaranteed dates for this
Yeah.
year. And
Yeah.
then we get into the exciting process of booking more dates,
Woo,
either for end of next year or spring this year or spring next year.
fantastic. Well, I want to wish you all the best for this show and the project, and we will completely champion everything you've told us on YDN Brighton, because it's exactly the type of thing that we do ourselves with independent artists and other projects with music and storytelling, because that's what music is as well, completely. And come and see your show as well. So people, Friday the 13th, Worthing Connaught, 7:30, be there. You will not regret it.
Yeah, be there or just come along.
That's right. Come along, 7:30. And shall we tell what the ticket prices are? Or
Oh, yes, I'd love to do that if I had written it down.
okay, that's fine. So just go on Worthing Connaught website and you'll find out. It's absolutely fine. I'm sure it's not an arm and a leg at all.
I
So,
think it's £13.50, but I'm
there
not
you
100%
go.
sure.
Yeah, along those lines, isn't it? So it's all good. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on to YDN Radio Brighton.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Fantastic. And good luck with it all.
Thanks.